Hey YouTube, my name is Drew. Welcome to Diet or Disease. I want to kick off this channel because I have a disease called Ankylosing Spondylitis, and what that is it's an auto-inflammatory disease, which basically means it's an autoimmune disease, as well as I get inflammation in my body. So my immune system essentially doesn't work correctly. And now if you talk to Western doctors, many times they'll tell you that they don't know what the actual cause of this is, although I think I'm tracking on the right path to figure out what that is. So I'd really like to share that with you guys. A little bit about ankylosing spondylitis. It is a pretty nasty thing. I get a lot of pain in my joints, my elbows, my knees. It's very similar to, it's kind of like this, I like to tell people it's the sister to rheumatoid arthritis, essentially. But the main areas that it affects is the lower spine. I get a lot of pain in my lower back and in my hips, and specifically your SI joints is where it starts for a lot of people. My SI joints are actually fused together. So where you have your spine, your hip lines up with your spine like that, and my joints are actually fused at that point, which limits my mobility a little bit. Not completely. I can't quite touch my toes though. And along with that, the doctors usually they don't catch it until it's basically too late. Another thing that can happen is what's called bamboo spine, where basically the progression of the fusion in your back, which is caused by inflammation, will essentially fuse your back together over time if it's not treated. So right now I'm on a medication called Humira, which is supposed to block certain receptors in your body, so it helps you with the inflammation and hopefully keeps that fusion from happening. Another issue that I have is with my eyes. My eyes can become inflamed. I actually have glaucoma as well as iritis. So iritis is the inflammation of the eye, and glaucoma is essentially your eye can't control its pressure. So actually at one point I actually almost lost my left eye a couple years ago, and this is what led to my initial diagnosis of ankylosing spondylitis. The three things that they basically used to diagnose were my SI joints were fused already, so they could see that through an x-ray. On top of that, I ended up going to the ER because I essentially went blind in my eye within only a couple days, which I don't think is very common for people, but for me that's what happened, and ended up having to get an emergency iridotomy, where they shot a laser into my eye, essentially to puncture it and relieve some of the pressure in there, so it wouldn't cause damage to my optic nerve, which luckily I still have most of my vision in that eye. It's still pretty good, but it's never been quite the same since then. So that was kind of the second thing that they noticed for me. And on top of that, after doing some blood work, I have what's called the HLA-B27 gene, which is supposedly a common thread for people who have ankylosing spondylitis. I was also within the typical range of age. I think they usually say around 25, 26, and it's usually within males. It's more common within males that they find it, specifically Caucasian males. So those were kind of a lot of the markers that I had, and that's what brought the doctors to the diagnosis of ankylosing spondylitis. So on top of those things, I have an extreme amount of pain in my body, like I said, in my joints. I have a lot of pain in my back, my hips, I get fatigue pretty badly. It's a pretty nasty thing, actually. So anyways, this is why I'm starting this channel, because I've been doing a lot of research over the past 2 years. I was diagnosed about 2 years ago, and I would like to just share that information with anybody who is struggling with either ankylosing spondylitis or something similar like rheumatoid arthritis, or even other autoimmune conditions that can really highly relate to the symptoms that I'm going through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start vlogging how I feel, and start sharing some of the remedies that I've come up with to help treat myself. Now, my ultimate goal with all this is to not only help other people out there that are struggling with similar issues to me, but also my eventual hope is that I'll be able to bring myself into remission and cure myself. Now, right now, I've been able to make a lot of dietary changes. I basically kind of hit a wall a couple months ago, and it essentially took me out of work. I haven't been able to work for almost 2 months now. I'm an electrician, so my job is pretty demanding, and it's just rendered me unable to do a lot of my essential tasks, like climbing ladders and installing lights, or just heavy lifting, and just generally long days. In construction, you can be working long days, 10-hour shifts. I mean, I wasn't working that much lately, but people can even work 12, 14-hour shifts sometimes in construction, 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. It can get pretty brutal. So and on top of that, being you don't know where you're going to be each day. Sometimes you're inside, sometimes you're outside in a foot of snow pulling wire, or digging a ditch, or 6 stories up on top of a new construction build. You have no idea. So my ultimate goal is to find a cure, find a remedy for me, and hopefully help some other people that are experiencing some similar things to me. And eventually I'd like to be able to get off my medication. Like I said, I take a drug called Humira fortunately my insurance has been able to help me with it, but the drug itself costs, I think, about $120,000 a year, and the insurance is thankfully covering that for me right now. But this is a pretty serious thing, and I don't want to be on medication if at all possible, and that's part of why the main reason why I named this channel Diet or Disease. I believe I've slowly been discovering that the autoimmune issues start in the gut, and the inflammation is coming from certain foods that I'm eating. And those triggers may be slightly different for some people than me. Some people may be gluten intolerant or lactose intolerant, or it could be environmental factors too that could be causing the inflammatory response. And these are the things that supposedly medical doctors today won't pinpoint it and say, yes, it's this, or or it's a stress response, or we're not sure. So thanks to anybody who's going to be watching these videos and going on this journey with me to finding out what types of foods you can and can't eat with an autoimmune disease, and start finding out what types of foods that you can or can't eat if you are experiencing inflammatory issues or an autoimmune disease as well. I'm really excited to get on this journey and to start really bringing my body into a realm of healing, and start to get my life back on track. I've been really pushing through this for really my whole life. I probably started having symptoms at probably 13, 14 maybe, and now I'm 28. So, and they've progressed to the point where, like I said, I'm not able to work currently. So, yes, thank you for watching the video, and I am really excited to get on this journey and hopefully help some other people out there who are experiencing some of the similar things. So I plan to probably update at least once a week, if not more often, but probably once a week starting off here, and I'll be logging just what I'm eating, my exercise, any meditation I'm doing, things, natural things that I can do that I'm experiencing relief with, and I just want to share those things with you guys to help anybody. So thanks again for watching, and tune in next time, and really appreciate everybody who's tuning in. Bye.